I call Tim McIndoe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When I spoke in the first reading of the debate on this bill, I made the comment that the issue we're talking about is probably the greatest challenge of our political generation. And I also made the point that I believe the outcome of this bill will be one of the defining achievements of the John Key-led government. Jacinda Ardern earlier tonight misrepresented the figures that this bill will cater for, so I want to clarify that we are talking about 14,000 young people aged 16 or 17 years who are not in employment, education and training. Not a few hundred, 14,000. They deserve our help and our guidance, and most of all, they deserve a future. But they can't do it on their own, or with the soft bigotry of low expectations that characterises the approach over many years of opposition members of this House. Mr. Speaker, I'm very proud to be a member of the Social Services Committee, and I'll be especially proud when the benefits of this measure bear fruit, as they undoubtedly will. Opposition members, Dr. Prasad, are stuck in a time warp, and those members ignore reality. Tragically, not at their own peril, but at the peril of those whom they claim to represent and whose interests they are unquestionably failing. Mr. Speaker, I endorse 100% the outstanding work of our Minister Paula Bennett. She's doing a fine job in a tough job, and I commend her for that. I endorse 100% the excellent work of the Chair of the Social Services Select Committee, Pastor Sam Lotoinga, who I have to say, Mr. Chairman, has handled the whole process with dignity, with courtesy, with respect, with intelligence and with fairness. And I put that on the record because I've been appalled at the attacks on his character tonight. He's a fine man doing a very fine job. I also commend the excellent work of the very fine Deputy Chair, Melissa Lee. I am proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with all three of those members of this House, and I back their effort 100%. Let's get on with the job. Mr. Speaker, contrast their efforts and their contributions in this debate with the ideological claptrap of the opposition speakers. Sua Williams-Seo accused the MP for Mangakea of being heartless. That was the word he used. Well, I say to Mr. Seo that I take offence and exception to that claim. Mr. Seo should be ashamed of making it, because throwing young people into the too hard basket and patronising them with welfare without expectations is what is really heartless. That is the bigotry of low expectations that characterises members opposite. Mr. Speaker, Michael Joseph Savage, the architect of the modern welfare state, would be utterly appalled. What Labor oversaw in the first years of this decade is so far removed with what Michael Joseph Savage and his colleagues envisaged and intended when they established the modern welfare system that I'm sure that he and they would disown their successors on that side of the House. Mr. Seo also attacked the Select Committee process. Well, as I've said, it was a very well-run process, and it was respectful in tone. No one was bullied, Mr. Seo, in that process, and no one is bullied by this bill. Dr. Prasad's constant refrain that these measures are punitive is absolute bunkum, and deep down I'm sure he knows it. Mr. Speaker, I would like to say much more on this. I will at future stages. I'm proud of what we're doing, and I really commend this bill to the House because it's one of the most important things we could possibly do.
Order. Dr. Ajim Prasad.
Thank you, Mr.